Welcome to the Under Oath podcast. I'm accident attorney Jeff Kaufman in case something happens to you.
Yeah.
And sitting next to me is my host, co-host,
I am.
friend,
Yes.
compadre,
Brother.
brother in comedy.
There you go.
James John.
It's me.
It's always a weird thing because when people hear you on the radio or something else like that, for some reason there's this weird fame that you get from being on the radio.
Yeah.
And that's like being the leper with the most fingers. It is clearly unearned. It's clearly not serious.
That.
But I actually know people who are on the radio who they think they're important.
Yeah, that's the trick.
I'm like, dude, you didn't cure cancer.
You did nothing.
You were talking about farting in a library.
Pretty much.
This is not giving to society.
No. And I told you that in confidence. But anyway.
Show the picture of Michelle with the face.
For whenever something happens.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think when it comes down to it, people's self-importance, like actors and actresses, like Snow White just came out and it tanked.
Yeah.
And it didn't tank because it was a bad movie.
Tell me the reason it tanked.
It tanked because people think they're more important than they actually are.
Got it.
As a celebrity or as a pseudo-celebrity or as somebody who has some fame from anything else,
Notoriety.
you have to be humble.
You should be.
People don't want you to think you're important because they can't wait to knock you down.
Correct.
I mean, when people go after me, I'm going, I'm sorry, man. Whatever I can do. Like somebody said they saw one of my billboards the other day.
Yeah.
And I said, I just do this because I like to see myself photoshopped. You know?
This is how good it could be.
I could look this good. If God was kinder.
If I gave a...
No, nobody looks as good. Yeah. There's nothing I could do.
No.
That my boy Dave can't fix.
That's funny.
Dave's like going, your face doesn't look right today. Dave goes, I got you.
I got you. Yeah.
I got you. You know,
I love that.
I don't want to leave the house. I think Dave should just make me a mask and I should
just send. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Dave's the producer, video extraordinaire. He's
Shout out to
a
Dave.
beast. Dave.
Yeah, man.
Captain Kirk. You know.
Will.
But yeah, it sucks. It sucks because you're always so concerned with what you look like. Like, wait, when they say the camera puts on 10 pounds.
They're not lying.
It's all ham hock.
It is ham hock because actually this camera you use is different. It puts on 50 pounds. I don't really look like this. Yeah. This is the camera doing that. Dave, you son of a bitch. Like,
yes.
I don't look like that. What? Who? That's Uncle Phil. Like, that's not me.
Yes.
Yeah.
You got to do with Carlton a little more.
God,
it's not unusual. Yeah, I mean, I don't get it. But it sucks. All right, give me the legal question so people can pretend I'm a lawyer.
This is a good one. Okay. This is about drunk driving, a serious topic, but this is a little crazy.
Is it? It's never that serious. You have never given me a topic that was really that serious.
It's not going to be that serious. So here we go. Now, so early Thursday morning, I was awakened to the sound of a car crashing into my home. No one in my household was injured, thank God. Driver was drunk. After sending pictures of the wreck to his car insurance, I was told the maximum payout would be $25,000.
$25,000.
I know this won't be nearly enough to pay for all the needs. They want us to sign that we won't sue for more if we take the money now. What are my options besides turn my house into a drive-through?
Well, let's hope you have home insurance.
Please, I hope you have home insurance.
Please have home.
Yes.
All right, this is the way this works, people. It's real simple. Every time you get in an accident, you see those billboards where they say, I got me $1 million.
I've seen those.
Okay. You can't get somebody $1 million unless there's $1 million of insurance.
Got it.
Or if the guy was worth $1 million, which is 1 out of 1 million.
Gotcha.
So basically, you're able to get what the insurance covers. So if he had a $50,000 policy, in this case, the person had a $25,000 policy. So they're going, we're going to give it to you, but you have to release the person. Now, you don't have to release the person, but you're not getting the check.
Okay.
And you're going to have to go to court to get that money.
Okay.
Now, you're going to have to hire a lawyer. And you should have a lawyer anyway.
You should.
But going to court is different than him just settling you as far as money goes. His percentage is higher, and you have to do depositions, and you have court reporters, and you have experts, and you have all the fees. And
you're shelling out money. Yeah.
So you're not even going to get $25,000 won't even cover the cost of that trial. So here's what you're going to do. You take the money and you contact your own insurance company and they cover the rest.
Okay.
That's just the way it is. If you have homeowners insurance.
Which you should have, correct?
Yes, you absolutely should. First off, I think if you have a mortgage,
you have to have home insurance.
And It's expensive. You know
It
what
is.
homeowners insurance is now?
Yes, I do. Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
Like a good neighbor will screw you bad.
That's pretty much.
Yeah, no, it's not good. And people just put up with it.
Because, yeah, we just
You know
take
why?
it.
Politicians are bought off.
They sure are.
Now you're going to say to me, Jeff, that's ridiculous. Okay. How are these laws made? Why are insurance companies allowed to charge what they charge? Because the legislature, your state legislature, allows it.
And insurance companies have great lobbyists,
And
correct?
why do they limit it now? Oh, now you don't have to have fire damage in California?
That's weird.
So I
Yes.
need homeowners insurance that won't cover something that is the worst thing that could happen to me?
Yes.
That's like in Florida. Yeah, we don't have flood insurance.
Okay, explain that to people who don't understand. Now, we
Yeah.
have hurricanes here, which cause flooding.
Yes.
They took flood insurance away from Florida for a time.
Yes.
How can you do that?
Politicians bought them.
That's crazy.
Anytime they want to change a law that deals with insurance,
Mm-hmm.
somebody got paid.
Somebody got paid.
And normally everyone did.
Meaning on both sides. Everybody got paid.
No, the politicians have been paid off by the insurance companies.
Gotcha.
The insurance companies are probably one of the largest companies to donate to politicians.
Gotcha.
Because they want to be protected.
They do.
And that's why these laws limit, certain rights. For example, in Florida, they changed a major law. And they go, well, it's unfair to the insurance companies and everything else like that. Well, the insurance companies didn't lower their premiums because of it. In fact, they increased their premiums.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes down to it, you got to make sure you're with the right company.
Okay.
And God, I don't want to say this.
Say it.
I got to say it.
Okay.
Just because a certain celebrity endorses an insurance company, it doesn't mean you should go with them.
How dare you speak about Jake that way?
Let's go with that one.
She sounds hideous.
Anytime you see a celebrity selling bottom basement insurance, and the bottom basement companies,
they got paid.
You know them.
Yeah.
It's always a cartoon character. In fact, every time I have this insurance company, I know they don't have insurance.
Oh man, are you serious?
Yeah.
You see that? You're like, you're going through something with.
If you get hit by
client.
somebody who has this type of insurance, they don't have any coverage.
It's just
It's just to allow you to drive.
because in Florida you have to have auto insurance.
Now, Florida has been talking about this, about forcing people to have a certain amount on a policy, a $25.50 or something
Okay.
like that, $25,000, $50,000 policy, which I think should be the minimum, because nothing is sadder than when you hit somebody and you don't even cover their medical costs to the hospital.
Correct.
The ambulance isn't even covered.
Correct.
And the sad part about most people is if they're driving, they might only have 10.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not going to get enough to cover their medicals. And these people
They're
could
not.
be, they could killed.
Mm-hmm.
I've had cases where the person was actually killed and there's no insurance.
Wow.
So if you're in Florida right now, contact your local, whatever, your representative, senator,
Yeah.
and say, listen, you need to clear this, because not for lawyers and insurance companies, but I mean, for people, you need to be protected, and nobody should be on the road. In fact, most states like Georgia requires a policy. New York requires a
Yes.
$50,000 policy. Other states require this. We
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
So all these insurance companies were basically let off the hook, and now they don't have to pay anything.
And can we say this, because I've been through this with my children? They've been through accidents and whatnot, and you've helped me with that.
Yeah.
Do yourself a favor and get yourself some quality insurance. The little bit of money you're saving per month is really going to not help you when you finally get into an accident. You really need that coverage.
Yeah, you need uninsured motorists.
Do yourself a favor. I learned that way. When I was younger, I would be like, okay, give me the bare minimum of everything I can possibly get. And then I got into some trouble with an accident. Then I learned, you know what? Give me the best.
Give me the best insurance.
Give me the best insurance.
Because if
I can
he
get.
doesn't have it, I want to have
I
it.
want to have it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I end up protecting myself.
Guess who I got to interview in
Who?
about 15 minutes?
Who?
I don't want to tell you.
Tell me.
It's another captain.
From Star Trek?
Yep, another Star Trek captain.
Brother, I don't know how you're doing this.
Yeah.
God bless you, man.
Sonequa Martin Green from the Star Trek Discovery.
Come on,
the
man.
captain.
Come on, man.
And we also forget what else she was on. You know what she was on?
Walking Dead.
Walking Dead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she has a movie coming out where she's coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan, and her best friend died, and she's being haunted by her.
I've seen the reviews for this. It's a good movie,
Yeah.
man. We got to check that out.
And she's very pro-military.
Is she?
So yeah, she's had the opportunity to talk to veterans all over, and I'm looking
Nice.
forward to talking to her about, since I'm a vet, to have a nice little discussion with her.
That's nice, man. Please tell her I said hello.
All right, we're going to bring my meathead partner out. Greg's coming out soon.
That's Do a title. Craig, the meathead lawyer.
the meathead partner. He doesn't have a meathead. It's just big.
Yeah.
You know, somebody caught him at the gym the other day.
Was he lifting the actual
seen our
gym?
show.
Yeah.
And they go, I didn't know you were a lawyer. I thought you were a construction worker. And he said that to me. I go, yeah, one of the village people. And he got... Well, back to two attorneys arguing.
All right, so here we go. So I got into an accident with them being at fault due to running a red light, and I'm certain my car will be considered a total loss. My question is concerning a possible injury. I originally declined care because I didn't really feel injured. That happens. The crash happened on Saturday, and I started feeling some soreness later that evening and have felt it since. Soreness in my neck, shoulders, upper back. I'm starting to get contacted by lawyers. That is absolutely unethical if you are being contacted
Like
unsolicited.
direct contact.
Yeah, that's what it says.
Without, I had a relationship. Like if he had a relationship with him before, okay.
Lawyers, yeah. The way it seems, I'm starting to get
Multiple
contacted by
lawyers.
lawyers.
That sounds like multiples.
Who want me to file a case of injury, lost vehicle value, time out of work. Yeah, if you're being contacted without
Directly.
you reaching out first,
Or you had a relationship
or
with
it's
him.
not your friend who, if random lawyers are reaching out to you, that is absolutely unethical. And I'm sorry that is happening to you.
That's some scumbag stuff right there.
That's disgusting.
And it's also a violation in almost every
And you should turn
state you're in.
every one of them in.
Nothing's going to happen to him. Sucks.
Well, at least make a record.
Shouldn't do it.
I feel like they're behaving like bloodhounds, trying to make a buck out of my crash. Yeah, those guys who are attacking you, contacting you without being solicited first, yeah, they are. Don't even think about using any of them.
Yeah, if they're willing to break the law
to
get your case,
get a possible
then
case.
Imagine, you know.
However, I don't want to immediately discount the possibility of injury. What time frames as far as being restricted from making claims and how I'm limited or not? I just don't know anything about this. I don't want to jump the gun or lose my chance to protect myself. This is actually, sir, you seem like a sir.
All right.
I don't know why.
We
but
don't
my
know what
feeling
state.
is
First off,
it's
we
a
don't
guy.
know what state you're in.
Yeah, it is. Location, Florida.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in Florida, you got 14 days to see a doctor, or you lose your PIP.
Well, what I was about to say is that your feeling about, hey, I don't want to make a federal case out of this, but you know what? I'm not where I was before the accident. So you're struggling. How do I look like to other people if I bring a claim? I'm going to look like one of those people who's just trying to milk the system, and I don't want to look like that. But at the same time, I'm actually hurt. What do I do? I can't tell you how many times I've had discussions, and this is mostly with men, who don't want to look like they're weak by saying, oh, you know what? I actually was injured. So you owe it to yourself. If you have anybody that relies on you for your income, you need to go and at least get checked out to make sure, because here's what's going to happen. God forbid, you get into another car accident and you actually get hurt. If you can't prove that this car accident didn't do anything to you, the people who represent the guy who hits you 3 weeks from now, 6 months from now, 4 years from now, they're going to say that whatever you have now was really all the way back from this car accident. So to protect yourself, you need to go get a X-ray. An MRI really is the best thing to get. And if you're feeling that way, go to a chiro, be honest about what you're feeling and how it's feeling, and let them make the assessment on whether or not you need an MRI. Don't direct the chiropractor or the orthopedic surgeon to do anything. You show up, you tell them your symptoms, you follow their advice. You owe it to yourself to go at least get checked out. You need to be able to say later on, you can prove that this case didn't do anything to you, or if it turns out you do have an injury, then you're obligated to pursue that.
One of the big things that happens in accidents, so we've handled hundreds and thousands of these, and the way it works is this, is that normally right after the accident, you have enough adrenaline in your system that it's masking the pain. And it's natural. Animals have it. We have it. The ability to flee from a bad thing, to avoid predators, you know. But here's the problem with that. When you tell a police officer at the scene, hey, yeah, I think I'm okay. Don't call the ambulance. I'll see how I feel later. You know what's going to happen to you.
Oh, yeah. At trial, if it gets that far, the defense attorney is going to say, you weren't hurt. You didn't even go get checked out. if you, and he's going to be talking to the jury when he says that, if you're actually hurt, you're going to go get some help from somebody. That's how we know you weren't hurt. You got hurt at the gym the next day, or you were on your garage and you fell off, and now you're trying to blame this car accident. Go get yourself checked out right away. You have to. You owe it to yourself.
Within 2 weeks in Florida, for example, if you do not see a doctor, not like your nurse, not something, you need to see a doctor within 2 weeks, or they're going to penalize you the $10,000 that Florida grants for PIP insurance.
Yeah, you will give the people that caused you injury, if they did cause you injury, you're going to give them a $10,000 credit
discount
on your medical bills. Because they're going to be able to argue, hey, listen, if he had gone within 14 days, $10,000 of his medical bills would have been paid for. And because he didn't do that, you're actually shooting yourself in the foot. Because he didn't do that, we are now entitled to that $10,000 that he would have got. And I'll tell you what, this is really why you want to do it, even if it's a minor accident. A couple of years from now, God forbid, you're in another accident. The defense attorney for that other accident, let's say you really are hurt on the other accident, he's going to say, no, it wasn't this one. It was that accident from 2 weeks, 2 years, 2 months ago. That's why you're really hurt.
The big thing is when you actually get treatment, normally they do what they call an MRI, where it's a lot better than X-ray, and it shows everything in your spine and everything else like that. And how many times have I actually been able to go, well, no, we had an MRI after the first accident. It doesn't look the same as the second MRI. Now, if you don't have that first MRI, they're going to beat the crap out of you. So don't feel there's a stigma because of billboards and people saying, I got $1 million. That's not your issue. Your issue is to be put back in the same situation you were in before the accident. And that requires you to go to the insurance company. It requires you to get proper treatment. It requires potential therapy years later. So you got to make sure you're taken care of. Don't feel a stigma. Don't feel bad. And realize it's a responsibility to you, your family, and even your future family.
And Jeff, just to add to your point there, not only do you have 14 days to get your initial treatment, you only have, and this is just very recent, Florida law just changed. You no longer have 4 years to bring a lawsuit for negligence. You have to bring that lawsuit within 2 years from the date you were injured.
So it's very important. Contact an attorney. It doesn't have to be us.
Just make sure it's not those scumbags that contacted you without being solicited first.
Just wanted to grow on. Today I have the pleasure of talking to actor and Star Trek captain Sonequa Martin Green. Sonequa, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hi.
I'll tell you what, I normally get people who roll out of bed who just happen to like try to fluff up the stuff behind them. But this is a great look, you know?
Oh, thank you so much.
Before I get started, I have to say this because one of the people in my office, you know, even though I am a Gator and a Seminole, he wanted me to say the words "Roll Tide." So
let's go, Roll Tide.
So I'll start off with that first. So I appreciate that. I saw the trailer to your movie that comes out today, and there's a line in it that is just ridiculously funny, and I think whoever wrote it needs to be given some extra dollars. Your character says, "I'm a black woman in America." And your friend goes, with a lake house.
Yes. Yes. That's so funny. Yes, my character has, her grandparents own a lake house in the story. Yeah, that's a good one.
Now, I'm a military veteran, and I can tell you some of my dreams are very vivid. My time in the military haunts you for, 20, 30 years. And I know your character is playing somebody who survived a very difficult situation. I'm sure you had to talk to veterans and go around and try to capture what that's like.
Oh, wow. Well, whoa. What branch?
I was in the Army. I was in the 82nd Airborne a long time ago.
Woo-wee.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, it's an honor to talk to you. Thank you for your sacrifice. So Kyle Houseman Stokes is also a U.S. Army veteran, staff sergeant, received the Bronze Star, and he wrote this about his own life. It's 93% as it happened. He did decide to tell it from a female perspective. He decided to have a Black woman tell his story and a Cuban woman represent the two battle buddies that he lost. But from the very beginning, he brought me on. Because he wanted to save lives. That was his mission. He's been saving lives. He was a paratrooper as well, and he brought everybody home, but still lost some after the fact. And so he wanted to honor them, and he wanted to tell the soldier story. And so I had to listen to him more than anything. Listen to him, watch everything that he sent my way. And just open myself to him and to his story, because this is a world that is like wholly unfamiliar to me. And so I'm so grateful that he was so open and collaborative as well. And I'm just honored that I got to be a part of this.
When you deal with issues like this, people are always difficult. And I don't know what's tougher when you're doing something, to deal with veterans who want to talk about reality or Star Trek fans who want to talk about what they believe reality is.
Oh, wow. Well, I will say in the short time that we've been in our press run. Well, actually, it's not quite short, is it? We premiered at South by Southwest last year, but we've been having so many conversations. I've been having so many conversations with veterans who come up and tell me that they see themselves, that this really speaks to them, and then they start to share their stories. And the prevailing theme of this film is to talk about it. But I also feel like another theme is to listen better too. And so when they open up and start to share their stories, my goodness, like I just want to sit at their feet and listen. And what typically ends up happening is we end up crying together. So it's really intense, and I want to be a part of the solution, even beyond doing this film. But I will say too, with Trek audiences, I've met thousands and thousands over the years. The story hits them hard too, and I have talked to people who decided not to take their lives because of Trek, because of Discovery, even specifically. They're like, I was thinking of doing it, but I decided not to. And so, man, like, real life stories, autobiographical stories, but also like fantastic stories in sort of strange science fiction spaces. Even those can reach people and change their lives. And so it's like, yo, like this is intense what we do.
It's tough when you go through this because you're telling the story, and people are difficult. It's very hard now, and I think it's the internet to blame for most of this, that we're a lot more critical. We feel that our critical opinions need to be out there, whether they're true or not. Oh, I have this opinion, I feel I need to tell it.
Yes.
It must be unbelievably difficult to do something you love, and every time you turn around, there's somebody online, and they give these people credence, like, oh, we hear it's difficult online. This person has a problem. Who is this person who has this problem? I mean, and I know you've gone through a lot with Discovery, and I got to tell you, I love the idea you do in this movie, because mental health is the one thing in the military that for basically outside the last 15 years, we were told to walk it off.
Oh. Oof. Oh man. Yeah, that's oh gosh, that's heartbreaking. That's heartbreaking. I'm so sorry that's been your experience and so many others' experience. It's unacceptable, and it makes me want to cry. But there's, even with Ed Harris's character in the film, he is a Vietnam vet, and there's this generational divide between him and his granddaughter Merritt. And he talks about the differences between the way he was received when he came back versus Iraq and Afghanistan vets. And that it's that too. It's like they were especially told to walk it off, and even that they were like attacked, when they came home. And the Vietnam vets, it seems that they have it buried so deep, because they were, as you find in the film, they were spat on, and I can only imagine how disassociating that must be, to fight for your country and essentially be a champion, and then come back and be ridiculed and criticized and attacked, or to come home and say, oh no, you good. Like, what? That's insane.
It's a tough thing to think about when you deal with this, because it wasn't until like the early 1990s that veterans were treated well. And people forget that. So if you've served before that, like I got out in 87, and I was still a kid. I was only like 20, and nobody says a word to you. And now when everyone thanks you for your service and everything else, you don't quite know how to deal with it, because you're like, well, I guess we do that now. But I know everyone before me, Vietnam, Korea, it was very tough on them.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And tough on you too. Yeah, it's like something that I've been talking about a lot is I've learned how to listen better from this film. And it's the other side of the coin of encouraging veterans and non-veterans as well who are in pain, but just encouraging people to talk about it. It's like we also have to be prepared to listen and not just leave that to the professionals. But Kyle always says, like, call up a veteran that and invite them to lunch and ask them for a sad story, a funny story, and ask them, how they felt, during both of them. And he said, because we do want to talk about it. It just has to be the right situation and in the right way. And we have to trust that the person is going to actually listen. And it just blows my mind how often veterans, from what I've learned from veterans, is that you just swallow it down, man, and it just toxifies in your body. And then even when you do try to open up, people glaze over and don't really listen because it's uncomfortable, and like they're not really giving you their ear. And it just like breaks my heart, because it's like we owe you at least that. And I mean, I also know that a lot of veterans don't like being deified. They're like, I'm not a hero. Like, I didn't do it for this altruistic purpose. I just did it. And I don't want to be seen as like other than human. I've also heard that. And so just what a complicated experience. And my heart really, really, in the small time that I stepped into it, for, in my imagination, the small time I dedicated my heart to it, it's like, my gosh, my heart is with you now, always, with all of you.
There's a lot that goes into it when you think about those issues. And I wonder, as an actor, you portray this character for 3 months, 4 months, some characters for 5 years, but you get done with this character. How quick does this character leave you?
Oh, the character never leaves, I don't think. I think when things are going well, you grow and learn from the character as well. And so it's like getting I don't know, like Super Mario Brothers, like, like thrum, 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 like when he gets like bigger, it's like that sort of happens in your heart when you take on these characters, or at least that's the way that I approach it. And then I carry them with me, and they're always there, and affecting me too. because everything that I learned while I was in that life, I then get to take with me and add it to, my thought life, add it to my beliefs if necessary. If there were shifts in my beliefs that needed to happen, like that happens too. So, yeah. And then I think too, like I'm even processing things now at the end of our press run, for opening weekend right now. I'm even processing things. I'm answering questions differently today than I did Monday. Because even talking about it in this press run, I'm learning things. Even what you just said, it's like I'm now going to take everything that you said in this interview with me.
The ability to, I guess, empathize. And people, when they talk about empathy, they go, well, how would I feel? And I always thought that empathy is take yourself out of the equation. Don't say, how would I feel? But how should this person feel? This is his shoes, not mine. And you've had an unbelievable opportunity from going from Star Trek, a show, really the first sci-fi show to seriously tackle issues, sexuality, issues like that. And you took a lot of heat for it. And it's very difficult to do something like that. And you're going, you don't get this. This is important. And I can't even imagine what it was like being you for those 5 years when you're reading hate and issues like that. And I like to believe it's just ignorance, but it's still tough. And I can't even imagine how you dealt with that.
Oh, well, thank you for saying that. I first of all, I have a firm foundation in the Lord. I have to say that. So without Jesus, I'm nothing. And I definitely felt like that was what kept me stable in the midst of, like, more than anything else, in the midst of the vitriol, the online vitriol, But also, sadly, I grew up in the Deep South. And, like, I'll just put it from my own perspective, because a lot of the hate that I received was about me being a Black woman leading a Trek franchise, and people being like, yuck, ew. I grew up with racism. It was every day, all day, every day. It was life. It was common. It's so familiar to me. So sadly, when all this online vitriol started happening, I was like, yeah, I know, I get it. I know this. I understand what this is. But I also try to, be like the Lord and be like, but you know what? I forgive you. And I'm going to give you, in my heart, I'm going to give you a chance to grow, because everybody deserves it. And hopefully, if you watch the show and love it, it will change your mind and shift your paradigm, and you'll grow out of this, because everybody deserves a chance to grow out of it. And we have to hold space for each other to do that. And it did end up happening. There were many people who I heard from over the years who were like, whoa, I didn't even realize, like, that there was a lot of racism in me. And it, it's gone now. Or, the man that told me he can now end the cycle of racism in his family because he suddenly understands.
It's a very strange thing when you talk about being in the South. I lived in I don't want to say the state because I don't want to take any bad email from them, but I was in a city where I was the only Jew, and my best friend was Black, and we used to make a joke when we were crossing the road, how many points were people thinking about if they hit us with their cars. And it's a stupid joke, and I think you get to a point where you laugh about it on a certain way. You're going, this isn't my issue, it's your issue. And it's very tough, and I think today, in today's world, I think we're a lot more aware of it. But it is difficult, and I can't even imagine, going on auditions where you're going, am I not going to get this role because I'm Black, or I'm not going to get this role because I'm Spanish? And I think there are a lot more opportunities now than there used to be, but I still think it's tough.
Oh, yeah. There are so many more opportunities. It's like I've said before, like, we have to celebrate how far we've come. Like, we can't just have a critical outlook, and because that leads to hopelessness, and hope deferred makes the heart sick, right? So it's like, no, we're doing better. Things are so much better, and we have to like really engage with that celebration. But then we can also have a healthy dissatisfaction for how things are, so that we can continue to push forward. But I think even growing up in the Deep South, there was so much love and peace and connection as well. That was that sort of like crossed the racial divide. There was that too. So it's so interesting how everything is there at once. And even in New York, I lived in New York for 5.5 years after I graduated from UA, Roll Tide. And we would, my husband and I would joke about not being able to get a taxi, because when we were out with friends, we would show them, like, watch us not be able to get a taxi. And we would go out, and sure enough, like, he would go out first. Yeah, right. No way. Nobody would stop. And then I would go out, and I'm like, well, I'm a woman. Let me see if, and they're like, no, you're still black. Yuck. And they wouldn't stop. And then we would get one of our white friends. We'd be like, come on down here and get this taxi, man. And then then the taxi would stop immediately, for our white friend.
It's so crazy. I had a friend of mine's wife, and there's the opposite side of racism too. There's the one who tries to go put too much of an effort forward, and
That's right.
she, every time she saw a Jewish star somewhere, she had to like buy it for me, and I remember after the 50th gift she gave me, I said, listen, I don't mean to be offensive, but if I went to like a flea market and there was like a velvet Elvis dressed as Jesus and I bought it for you, what would you think? And I think it finally stopped, but I think there's both sides of it. What I love about that side is at least it's not based on hate, but it's still a little weird.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Because at least on that side, you're right. The intentions are good. They're like, I'm trying, but I don't know exactly how to do it. But yeah, you were absolutely. I love what you said about how it's the other person's problem, and not yours. That's also something that we need to really get a hold of, because it seems like it's our problem. It seems like it's those of us that are in disenfranchised communities. It seems like it's our problem to get through it, or get over it, or overcome it. But it's like, no, it's your problem. We share it together, because while you are attempting to dehumanize me, you are dehumanizing yourself, and you don't even realize it, So it's like, this is a collective. The problem is the same on both sides, which is why the only way to move forward is if both sides get involved.
Well, this was so much fun. I completely glossed by the Star Trek stuff, which a lot of people are going to be upset at me about, but it was so great talking to you.
Oh, well, thank you so much for everything and for this conversation. I won't forget it.
Well, that wraps up today's show. I'm attorney Jeff Kaufman. Thanks for joining us. Special thanks to my two co-hosts, my good friend, professional comedian James John, and my law partner, Craig Lind. This show is sponsored by Kaufman Lind. If you or someone you know has been in an accident, contact us at 407-500-JEFF or 407-500-5333 for a free consultation, or visit us at whenyouneedus.com.